Myles Garrett saga continues, right, guys? As you probably saw, he's burning up Media Row at the Super Bowl. A lot of people are thinking this guy's doing this on purpose. He's trying to distance himself or piss people off on purpose to force the Browns' hand. We had an emergency board meeting at the office on Monday with this little brain trust to discuss the story just hours after it broke. There was exhaustion, confusion, pleading, anger, a boatload of F bombs, and that was just Noah. We were all pretty lit. Um, I think
That's
most of it
facts.
was directed at the front office. But check out the episode if you missed it. But get things started, Noah. Give us your thoughts on what you've seen from Miles since our last conversation.
Yeah, man, it is ugly and messy. And it's only going to
Oh.
keep going that way. I know we're going to get into Media Row and some of the clips and all of that in a second here, but Myles Garrett says he wants to do this not messy and then goes and does 15 interviews during Super Bowl week and mentions one guy from Akron that you might have heard of. He's actually behind me as a Funko Pop if you look real hard. His name's Myles Garrett. LeBron James,
LeBron James.
who is a known traitor to the city of Cleveland, but has since been forgiven for
Whoa.
bringing a championship back. Hey, give me a second. He was known as a traitor. That is not a hot take.
No.
It's messy. It's going to keep being messy, and it will be messy until he is gone. Eric, what do you think, man?
My only question is, what are you doing, Miles? You make the announcement. Everybody's kind of on your side. They go, "This sucks, but we get it." The Browns are an organization in disarray, ownership down. Nobody knows what's going on. We understand. Go chase your ring. Hopefully, you get to a team kind of thing. But now, the more he keeps talking, that tide is going to start to turn, and it already has started to turn against him. And I'm just thinking, what are you doing? I don't get it. Is the play to force the Browns' hand? I
That's
don't
what I
know.
think it is exactly because they came out and said they weren't going to trade him right after he said he wanted the trade. So now he's going to go be a dick about it until they trade him.
That's fine, but I mean, first of all, he has conflicting messages himself because literally a month ago, he told reporters that the Browns are closer than you think to being good. So to all of a sudden flip that and say, you know what? We're nowhere near. I don't like the direction we're going. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means that the Browns confided in him, that they're planning to take a quarterback, not bring in a veteran guy. Obviously, cap space is an issue. I don't know, but to all of a sudden flip and now start giving these interviews, which we'll play some clips of, it's a little baffling to me. I got to be honest.
I want to hear the clips because my initial reaction to this piece of it, right? Now, there's a lot of pieces to dissect. There's what to make us to fancy, the rest of the front office, Myles Garrett and his time here, what we're going to do from here. So I want to conflate all my emotions into one take. But specifically in listening to what he said to Rich Eisen, going up and down Media Row, my initial reaction honestly was, why are people more mad now? He said he wanted out. He wrote a nice letter. 2 days later, he goes, yeah, the Washington Commanders are a team I'd like to play for. I didn't understand why people got pissed that he named a team because he told you he wanted out and the Commanders played in the NFC Championship. So,
Because it's about the way that he's doing it now. He got had the
mhm.
letter. The front office knows that he wants a trade, and now he's going to talk to Rich Eisen in Sports Illustrated. Yes, we'll get into the clips in a second, and I feel like we should at this point. It's the way he's going about it. I still am completely on his side. I would want the hell out of here too with how everything is looking and shaping up to be right now. But I totally get why people are pissed. Cleveland is a Cleveland against the world city just as much as Ohio is an Ohio against the world state. And it feels like he's turning the knife a little bit. He already stabbed us, and that's fine. We all accept the wound. But now he's just turning it a little bit more. He's on national sports media outlets talking about why the Browns suck. We're still protective of
Especially
it.
Especially, he said he talked to LeBron. Did he learn nothing from that conversation? Did LeBron say, hey, maybe don't go on national media and talk about your intentions of leaving because it didn't really work out so well for me? It's just like Noah said, he's just not doing it the right way now. And listen, I got to be honest, we can dig into this a little more, but you're a Cleveland Brown. You're under contract as a Cleveland Brown. I understand that you want to leave, and I don't blame you for it at all, but try to force this perfect scenario in that, hey, I'd really like to go to Washington, or how about Detroit or the Bills or the Chiefs could probably use it. That's bullshit for me. You're not going to tell us who we're going to trade you to. That's where I start to get irritated.
I got you. I guess I'm just
we keep referencing this Commanders clip. Why don't we just play it real quick so that way the people who might not have seen it can see it, and then we can talk about that a little bit.
Would you like to go to the Commanders? Thought about it. Have you thought about the squads that you want to play for?
They need a pass rusher. I think that's something that they dearly miss down there in the playoffs and some of the big games. And I feel like I can fill that role, but that's a role that multiple teams need. And I feel like not only a pass rusher, but I think I'm the best defensive player in the game, and 100%. I feel like that's invaluable in itself.
Listen, I'm going to give you the most homer take from me that you've probably ever heard on this show.
He's
I like Myles Garrett. I think he's been a great player for us, except for 3 playoff games where he just completely disappeared. Overall, though, he's one of the best to play the position, but you're either with us or you're not. And the little smirks and the little laughter, like he's so giddy to get out of here, I'm not going to lie, it does piss me off.
You know what? I think that's a perfect transition for the Rich Eisen clip as well. I'd like for our viewers and you guys as well to pay attention to his facials while Rich Eisen asks the question. No, this isn't the LeBron clip everyone has seen about 40 times already. Taking this a little different route. Let me throw that up for you guys real quick.
What if question, but what if the Browns say no? We want you to stay. We want you to be part of this thing. We do believe in the plan that we have. We do believe that this plan will work. We do need you to help this plan work, and you do have 2 years left. Like, what if that happens, Myles?
I mean, it's possible. They could do that, but that's a little bit further down the line that I'm willing to look. I know things have changed, night by night, and I'm sure people are calling and hopefully making some tempting offers, but I'm grateful for my opportunity, and I know that recently no one stuck to one team seeing Luka, so I'm too happy. I mean,
so I don't I wanted to hear you guys' take because I literally was confused as to why people in Cleveland were pissed. You guys made a good case as to why I'm understanding it. I think I'm on the other side of this coin. And give me a second to get it out here. Why I won't go long, but I just want to get my thought out. Or no, it was you, Eric, who said something about, didn't you talk to LeBron? And I think that's why his initial letter asking for a release was pretty well done. They were short to the point, thanked Cleveland, thanked the fans, want to go win a Super Bowl. I think we all were in agreement earlier this week, and we're still in agreement. It ain't going to happen here, at least anytime soon. Second, I think when LeBron left, Reggie Miller went online and said, you guys, Cleveland's acting like jilted lovers. And I was like, no, it was about the decision that you went on national TV to punk our city, and we get pissed. I can see why you guys are pissed. I'm not telling you not to be pissed, but I don't get as angry about the little smirks and the stuff. I mean, I think he's distancing himself. I think the Browns have a chance that they'll tell him to shut up and play because we're paying you and you're under contract, and he's trying to do what he can to force their hand without completely alienating the fan base and himself. Was the smirk a little much? Yeah, like when Cleveland gets pushed out of the view for other cities and other better opportunities, we tend to get pissed. But to me, this is much to do about nothing. Myles Garrett said 2 days ago, I've tried. I want out of Cleveland. I'm sick of this shit because I want a chance to win. Thank you to the fans for a great time. All he's done since then is name contenders that he wants to go to. If I ask you guys, if Myles wants to play for a contender, name 5 places to go. You would have said Kansas City, Buffalo, Washington, and Philadelphia too. So I don't get why he's wrong.
That's not his job, though. And Eric, I'm going to correct both of us because we both had the misconception. He does not have a no trade clause. He has no say where he goes.
Yeah.
He can trade his ass to the New England Patriots and tell him to kick rocks. So him going in the media and trying to be like, well, I want it kind of this way. I don't care what you want. I want 3 first-round picks. I want maybe a quarterback. And I want you to shut the hell up.
Well, can I check you on one thing there? Because I completely agree with you. The only thing that scares me is, let's say we do trade. Let's say Jacksonville says, we'll give you our next 4 first-round picks. I know that won't happen, but let's just pretend, right? The problem is he is under no obligation to sign an extension. So he just plays out 2 years in Jacksonville, and then all of a sudden we see him on the Ravens. So it would be a good thing for him to go to a place where he signs an extension, in my opinion. At the same time, though, I completely agree with you. We're going to get as much value if we're going to trade you, if we're going to get as much value as we possibly can to try to handcuff us and say, hey, there's like 4 teams I want to go to. Well, good for you. I won $1 million. We don't always get what we want. So, yeah.
I guess my question. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, go on.
My question would be to both of you guys, not so much that you have bad takes. We disagree, but that's okay, because this isn't a what's right and wrong. It's a feely thing. So there's not like I'm going to text you in 3 weeks when I get proven right? We're just talking through things. But Noah, you've in the last 2 weeks on this podcast said, in a fight between millionaires and billionaires, I picked the millionaires. And we both said on Monday when Myles made this announcement, you can't fault him for wanting to leave a sinking ship in a terrible organization and wanting to try to win a Super Bowl. So what did he do or say specifically in these interviews for you to go from, I support Myles and the millionaire versus the billionaire and a man who wants to leave a legacy that says has a Super Bowl in it and he can't do it in Cleveland, to fuck this guy, he's an asshole, just because he named some teams and had a smirk on the Rich Eisen show?
Yeah, to be completely clear, right? I'm going to start it like this. You see this script on my hat? You see this across my shirt? Do you want me to pull out my Cleveland Guardian tattoo on my chest? At the end of the day, it is Cleveland over everyone. And this is the point I was making off the top, that that's how the city is. Well, when you go to Media Row and you make the Cleveland Browns look even worse and make it look like no one should ever want to go there because it's a dysfunctional mess. Yes, we know it, but we still root for the team. Eric's got a jersey on. I have Browns merch on. You have a Cleveland shirt. I know it's not a Browns shirt.
On purpose, because I'm pissed at the organization way worse than Myles. We'll talk about that in a minute.
He's making a good point because, yeah, I am wearing an actual Myles Garrett jersey because I thought maybe it's one of the last times I can wear it. But you notice what it says on the front? It says Browns. It doesn't say Garrett's. His name's on the back for a reason, and no one player is bigger than the team. Noah's absolutely right. We've lived with this dysfunction. Can we turn it around? I think we can. We were a playoff team just a year ago, but that's not really the point. How he's doing it is more so what it's about than what he's doing.
And I want to be clear too. I want to be clear too, real quick, John, that it's not fuck Myles Garrett, because I still understand his situation and I still understand him going, and he didn't do a big ESPN, the decision that what LeBron did, but he's still going about it in a way that now rubs the fans the wrong way. And I understand there's fans way more upset than me, why they're upset. I totally get it now. Well,
I think if we can say as Cleveland fans where you have a little bit of an inferiority complex and we're really high strung and that's why it pissed us off, I'm fine with that. I've been the same way before. I was just like, man, this is a real paradigm shift in 2 days from yeah, man, I wouldn't want to play for this shitty team either, to what is he doing? So, but your context has helped. But question for you, and I think we have a clip of this too. Now, 2 days ago, G. Bush, former 92.3 The Fan personality, dropped a 45-minute tell-all. Started 5 years ago. It spanned Baker's tenure, talked about Mason Rudolph and the helmet incident, the support he didn't get. Well, they hit on OBJ, Deshaun's acquisition. They basically painted the Browns front office as incapable of fielding a contender, and of Stefanski as an aloof, disorganized Neanderthal making whimsical decisions as he goes. Oh, you recruited you. I'm going to call plays. I'm not going to call plays. You're the quarterback. Now you're the quarterback. DTR didn't even know he was starting. Does any of that mitigate your feelings towards Myles? Because I got to be honest with you guys. If I was in this guy's shoes, I make the same decision to make the same moves. And maybe I get eviscerated for a few weeks. And then this time next year, all's well that ends well. He'll go in our Ring of Honor. He'll probably go in the Hall of Fame as a Brown. But does anything that G. Bush put out there make you feel differently about the conversation we had so far?
No, again, it's about how he's doing it. listen, your football team is your family. And I get it, we're dysfunctional. A lot of that stuff should stay behind closed doors. I'm under no illusion. I think that G. Bush had inside information from some of Garrett's people, and I think Myles gave the green light to finally put that out, and that's why we're hearing it now. It shouldn't be a war of words right now. The Browns haven't said anything against Garrett. All they've said is we have no intention of trading him. He's trying to force his hand and play his role in the media. I don't love it. I would have rooted for if he just said, I want to trade. I get it coming out publicly like that. I want to go play for a contender. We trade him for the Lions. I would have been rooting for the guy. Go win a Super Bowl. You've been nothing but love to Cleveland. But now, little piece, you're trying to hurt our organization on the way out. That's not acceptable to me. So if that's the case, I mean, listen, now I want him to go to a team, and I can't wait to watch them lose. I hope he goes to the Commanders and they really regress because they're not going to get the same thing out of Jaden Daniels next year. It's just irking me in a way that I didn't think it would, because I am on Myles' side and I understand his viewpoint. But now trying to drag us on his way out, it's childlike. And listen, this is a guy, I don't want to get too far into his performance. I think he's incredible. But he's also a guy that takes off games, takes off plays, didn't do shit in the 3 playoff games that we had. I think he lacks some maturity here.
I would disagree with you about the taking off plays and that kind of thing, but I'm going to concede that because we could go on a 20-minute rabbit hole. I do want to agree with you on the fact, maybe on the maturity part a little bit, because one of my key notes from this whole G. Bush expose, if you will, was Myles seems hard to get along with. He got mad at Baker, then he got mad at Deshaun after 1 year of up and down play. And yes, I know we're all in hindsight's 2020. Yeah, he was right. Okay. But at the time, he was part of the reason we kind of went towards the direction of making a Deshaun Watson move, because he wanted a star quarterback that wasn't Baker Mayfield. There's so much little nuance here that it just made me think it kind of seems like this guy is hard to get along with. And
I agree that
I don't think that was the point of the Bush video at all, but that's what I thought of listening to it. And real quick, just so you guys know too, it's in the bio down below. If you are watching on YouTube, you should go check it out. It is worth every minute of that 45 minutes. Go ahead, John.
No, he does a good job. I agree. Lost my train of thought on the first piece, but the question I wanted to ask you guys is this. You both made statements similar to, we're still on Myles' side of the I would do the same thing argument, but why are you dragging Cleveland? And my question is this, because I don't have a good answer. If you know you have 2 years left on your contract and you want to get the hell out of Cleveland, what else could he do to force the Browns' hand other than what he's doing now? Like, how does he get out of the contract to force the trade if he doesn't do a little TV spot here, radio spot there, tell people why I'm pissed off, to kind of like, you got to get the Browns to say, are we going to bring this guy back next year? And they weren't there. If he goes, yeah, I love Cleveland, I love the organization, this is my second home, I've been here my whole career, but I got to find some greener grass. I hope they can trade me, but if they don't, I'll be ready to go as soon as training camp gets here. They're not going to trade him.
That's a valid point, and I'll give you, I'll concede that for sure, because that's the only way these superstar athletes can really push the envelope. Yeah. But at the same time, there's still a way that you could, you could not be as shitty about it.
Yeah, I get
it. Listen, no, he keeps doing what he did in the first place. He put out that nice letter, and you keep doing that. You say, listen, I haven't heard anything. I want to reiterate that I want to be somewhere else. I want to go chase greatness in a Super Bowl. I haven't heard anything yet. The Browns said that they're not willing to trade me, but this isn't a request. This is something that I want done. You don't have to bring up every little, like, he's a toddler throwing his toys out of the pram. Like, you don't need to bring, in 2015, the custodian looked at me in a weird way, and I really thought he didn't like me, and that's just another reason I want out of the Browns organization. That's what he's doing. He's a little child in the corner playing with his dinosaurs. Like, be a man, and you don't have to talk down about your current employer. It's not former. It's still your current employer.
That's funny as shit, because I did get a sense of that. I'm on Team Myles overall for How he's handling it, could he do better? Yes. I'd give him a B or B minus. He could be a little better, but
Give
I don't
him
think
a C minus at max, but okay.
that's fair. I don't think he's dragging the city just because he's putting a little fire to the Browns' feet. But, bro, Myles Garrett looks like he's real hard to get along with. Like, if you look and go, Deshaun's the problem. Baker's the problem. Baker's wife is the problem. Her social media was the problem. Odell Beckham's use of social media that was different than Emily Mayfield's was the problem. And bro,
are you referring to the G. Bush video again? I take it.
Yeah, if you point at 38 things and go, they're all the problem, not me, you're the problem. Newsflash.
100%.
In life in general, like, it's not everybody else's fault. He had umbrage with, and they talked about Jadeveon Clowney and Okunjobi. Every defensive tackle and defensive end they brought in here to try to play with him either wasn't good enough, or they said they didn't even talk to Jadeveon Clowney. That sounds like a Myles Garrett issue.
Exactly. That was the next point I was going to bring up too, is we bring in these running mates, and yes, they're not, I can't even think of a good Batman and Robin duo to point out. Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa. I don't know.
Well, they don't play together, but
that guy? That's the first thing that came to my head. I know they don't play together, but you're not even talking to the guy. Like, I get that it's a job and you don't need to, but like, there's people you don't like at work that you still talk to. Like, they weren't even on speaking terms, and they're on the same position group.
I have a whole podcast with two people I didn't like at work.
Oh, here we go.
Noah, you know better than anybody, especially in the same unit together. Those are your brothers. You're going to war with each other every single game. So it's a little more than just coworkers. And I get it. It's different when you get to the professional level. But to completely not talk to a guy in your same unit that you're watching film with, you're spending the majority of your time with, it's just weird more than anything.
There was a lot of stuff in this G. Bush video that really just made me scratch my head and think back on some of the history and some of the stuff that we saw play out, and kind of almost flip it on its head. Like, none of it's surprising, right? But it kind of flips it on its head how much more out of favor Baker Mayfield fell in Cleveland, right? I think that is a huge point here. I've always been a proponent of it was time to move on from him, but it was really time for us to move on from him, it seems like now, in terms of some of the stuff that was exposed in this Garrett Bush video. And we won't go down that rabbit hole. This is about Myles. I just hope we can get the best compensation for this guy as possible and move on. I think we need to just accept it. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, they might hold out for another year. I've seen big YouTubers, I've seen small X accounts say this kind of thing. I am firmly on the side of, let's rip this Band-Aid off. It doesn't have to be today, the next day, the day after that, but around NFL draft time, maybe after NFL draft time, whatever that looks like, it's time to move on. Let's get this over with instead of continuously. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, especially now knowing you corrected that he doesn't have a no trade clause. Yeah, just get as much as you can. I don't care where he ends up. Get as much as you can. And if I could just give one piece of advice to Myles Garrett, stop acting like the jilted ex-lover. Stop, like, you don't have to bring up every little fight in the relationship now that you want it to be over. Like, we both need to move on, granted, but come on, man. You look bad, bro.
It does look bad.
I want to ask one quick
out the door. Sorry, go ahead, Noah.
I want to ask one quick question. I'm sorry, John. Do you guys think that, obviously, the moving on to greener pastures, going to compete for a Super Bowl is a talking point, but how much of this do you think, especially knowing that there's a no trade clause here, is he just wants to change his scenery? He's had enough of the Browns shit for 8 years.
Wait. There's no trade clause.
Yeah, there's no trade clause.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you said that, knowing that there's a no trade clause, and I was like, wait a minute.
Okay, regardless, yeah, there is no trade clause. Do you think it's more so as much of a change of scenery thing as it is, I want to go compete for a Super Bowl?
Yes, I think he wants to compete for a Super Bowl. I think he's made more money than God, and he'll ever know what to do with. And I think he honestly wants to compete. We've watched Myles Garrett. We've cheered for him. We've seen his character in and out of the community and doing all these other things. I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater at the end of a relationship because it was sour in the last few minutes and forget what he's meant to us as fans and to us as the city since he was drafted. He's a remarkable human. He flipped a car, but he's pretty much stayed out of trouble. He does the quarterback tombstone thing in his yard. He's good to kids. He does charity. He's giving away millions of dollars. And he said, I have enough money. I want to play for a Super Bowl. I take him at his word because I don't think he's an overt liar, because there's other ways to go about this if you just want out, i.e. Jimmy Butler and everything in between. I want to hear what Eric has to say for sure, but no, I don't. I take him at his word.
He's not full Jimmy Butler yet. Don't.
He's not close.
He's starting.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if he just wants out and doesn't give a shit about championships and it's about money, you go Jimmy Butler. He's not doing that.
I'm going to disagree with you. And I'm going to tell you something. We'll call it inside sources. I don't have any sources. I'm just making this up. But
it's like, what?
Here's what I think happened. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think he tried to pull a LeBron. Here's what I mean by that. I think what happened is he went in those meetings with the Browns. I think he intended to stay. Again, it doesn't make any sense that just a few short weeks ago, he said that we're closer than you think, personnel-wise. We're closer than you think to being good. So a guy that says that in January, all of a sudden in February, I hate the direction it's going, blah, blah, blah. What I think happened, I think he wanted to be LeBron. I think he wanted to be in on the decisions. And I think management, Andrew Berry, made it very clear that you're not the GM. We love you, and I do think we take him for granted. We love you, but you're not that guy. We're going to make roster decisions. Step back into your lane. I think that pissed him off. I think his child came out, and I think everything we see now is a result of that.
It's interesting.
You don't
think
basically
shouted out Tim's comment word for word right there.
No, I do think that he wants to win Super Bowls. Who doesn't? Everyone that enters the league, every kid, I mean, hell, the three of us as a kid throwing around the football pretends we're in the Super Bowl, throwing that last touchdown pass. But I think he was content, and then he wants to be the starlet more so than he is, and I think he got angry. And I think everything we see is a result of that anger.
I don't know if you're right or wrong, but I love your point because it makes me think. I will say that if he thought he was LeBron, he overplayed his hand because LeBron won. We went to an NBA Finals with LeBron, and we went to a shit ton of playoffs. We owned the Wizards in the first round. That was almost a running joke how Gilbert Arenas and Caron Butler and those days. I'm getting nostalgic.
Don't forget Toronto. We owned them. Listen, I could be completely off base, but the everything just seems a little strange and doesn't add up. The fact that he absolutely loved being here, and again, a month ago thought that the roster we could be close, and all of a sudden that changes. But more so than that, all the little things that came out in the G. Bush video. He was upset about Baker and his wife. He was upset about him not getting backing over the supposed alleged racial comments by Mason Rudolph. Each little tick that we haven't heard a single ounce of until this point. You could say on the one hand, well, he was being a professional, so nothing came out. He didn't want to show those gripes. But now all of a sudden you hear like the 10 things over the past 8 years. I don't know. I'm just not buying it.
Just one point. I want to avoid what Noah avoided and not go down a rabbit hole. I think there's something to the Mason Rudolph thing. As a black kid who played hockey, there's things that happen in those situations where you can kind of tell they didn't disavow it. I don't want to go too deep on it because there were a million other examples to choose from. You just chose one, and I think there's some truth to some of the stuff. But yeah, go ahead, Noah.
No, I agree with you too. Just on the record, there's no way, and I've always been of the belief system that Mason Rudolph said something he flat out should not have said.
But you think guys like Cam Hayward would have backed him? They were right there. You
don't think they
would have
heard
a racial slur?
You back your teammate. Yeah, I don't.
Over that?
But you also don't know if they heard it. We're going down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to. Yeah.
To tie it back in to the whole G. Bush thing, Eric, I agree with you that it is really weird that a month ago he was like, we're closer than we think. We're going to have a good meeting. We're going to figure this out. I want to know the direction. Yes, he alluded to maybe wanting to trade then. But he was positive about Cleveland. Now we are watching him drag us in the middle of Las Vegas right now. The G. Bush thing does show to me that he was trying to be as a professional for as long as he can. And it has now hit a point where he has seen the Browns try with 2 different quarterbacks, fail both times, and he isn't getting any younger. The good thing about all of this is that Myles is young. He's still young and in his prime. It's not like he's a 34-year-old Myles Garrett and Von Miller Buffalo situation. We can get the absolute most out of this guy still right now.
Yeah.
What that'll be remains to be seen. But that's
so I want to get us to I know we got to get out for commercial break. Want to wrap this up. One thing you said, Noah, yeah, you're being kind to say he's been through 2 quarterbacks. He's been through 2 main quarterbacks. I think he's been through 16 actual quarterbacks.
Side options, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what?
Go ahead, Eddie.
I just want to ask, because you said that we could still get something out of him. I want to know the percentage that you guys put it at that he remains a Cleveland Brown.
I was going to ask the same thing. I have it at like 2% now.
Ooh.
2, wow.
I say
No
20,
faith.
20 to 25.
I'm right around that 20% mark as well. I was just curious, though.
So
we all dropped just from Monday to here, by the way. I think I was at 20 and you guys were at like 30 or 40 or something like that. And now I'm at 2 and you guys are at 20.
Yeah, I think I said 25 to 30 and now I'm at 20-ish. Yeah, 20, 25. Yeah, it's going down. But that's because of some of the stuff he did. I will say this one last thing, that the point that came out. I think people window dress and they say what they have to say. Playing in the NFL is playing politics to a certain regard. And I don't want to fault the guy for saying, we're closer than you think, and then turning around and saying he wants a trade. If I said, Eric, do you think at the station that you and Noah can do special things together and be productive for the next 2 years? You would say yes. And then if I said, Eric, I'm going to give you $380,000 a year with stock options to come join my company, you'd be like, bye, Noah. It's been real. It doesn't mean you didn't mean it when you said it.
It's a fair point. It's like the college coach saying, I have no intentions of leaving. And then, of course,
Correct.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. Like, wait, well, you think Bill Belichick is going to play out his contract in North Carolina? Spoiler alert. Any last words before we wrap this one? This has been a great conversation.
It's been a good one, boys.
All right, we're going to take
I just want to reiterate, please do not spend your money. I know this has mainly been about Myles, but do not spend your money with the Cleveland Browns. Do not buy season tickets. Do not buy merch. Do not buy into the stadium crap that I'm sure we're going to hear more about. Like, none of that, because at the end of the day, as much as we want to say, okay, Myles did a turnaround or however we feel, this is still laid at the feet of ownership and the Deshaun Watson trade. If not for that trade, things are probably hunky-dory in Cleveland right now. That has absolutely ruined this organization for God knows how many years. Do not give them your money.
I will +1 that. I just told Eric before we got on air, the next thing that I buy is going to be at least a Browns AFC North Championship T-shirt of some sort. I am not, or it's going to say Kosar and Metcalf on the back. You can forget about it. And even then, I don't know. I'm pissed too.
Seriously, dude. And I will say, though, if the Cleveland Browns want to become our secondary sponsor and send us a bunch of gear, totally cool. You guys can do that. But I'm not going to pay you anything. I think
we burnt that bridge like Myles did in Media Row. But